Good day and welcome to our Thanksgiving edition of In the Spotlight. I'm Superintendent Michael Richard, and today I am very pleased to be joined by our head football coach, Chad Labonte. Chad, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. Good morning.
Why don't we start by you telling the audience a little bit about you, where you're from, where you grew up, where you went to college, and how you ended up here in West Springfield.
First of all, I live in town with my wife. She's a teacher at Mittenegg. My daughter goes to Fawsey. She's 8. My son is 12, and he attends Academy Hill School. I grew up in North Adams, and from there I went to Westfield State College. That's where I met my wife. We were both going to school to be teachers. From there we had teaching jobs in Springfield, and then we were lucky enough to find ourselves here in West Springfield.
Good. And you've been in West Side for how many years now?
2005.
2005.
Yeah.
So 12 years in West Springfield. And you've been the department chair for the last 6 years or so.
Correct.
Great.
Correct.
So I'm dressed a little differently today. It's
Yeah.
Blue and white day
Yep.
here at West Springfield High School to support our student athletes. So Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving Day game is tomorrow. What does that annual football game mean to you and to your players?
It's a really big deal for the town. Well, growing up in North Adams, we didn't have a Thanksgiving Day game. So, and then from there, coaching college football, your season was over unless you were, deep in the NCAA playoffs. So after coming to West Springfield, I was told, you have a Thanksgiving Day game, so you're kind of thrown into it. Like yesterday was my 14th Rotary luncheon that I attended, and I didn't realize what a big deal it was. Like, it's a huge rivalry. The town really rallies around it. It's just something that's great, I think, every year, every season. It just brings the town together. Everybody has something to rally around. I think it's great that people that are in and out of town, I think it's someplace they congregate every year to see each other and catch up. I think it's very important for both towns, and I think it's great history and tradition in West Side.
Right. You did send a great message to the Agawam and West Springfield Rotaries at the luncheon yesterday, and about what the meaning of the game is, and how they'll remember that game for their lifetime. As a coach and as a player, was there someone that inspired you? Because I know that your message really resonated with a lot of the people in the audience yesterday. So who was your inspiration to go above and beyond and to make sure that students really did things the right way?
I've had many positive people in my life in regards to football. I guess it would start with my father and my uncle. They both coached youth football for over 20 years. So, my whole life growing up, I was at the football field. I started practicing with the team when I was 5, even though I couldn't play in a game till I was 9. So those two and my cousins, they all coached. But then in high school, Jim Freeney was our head coach, and he was also a physical education teacher. And he was somebody that I just saw the influence that he had on my life, the positive vibe that he gave off, and he was always said, always look ahead. He was always teaching life lessons through football. And, I thought that, he helped out so many of my friends and my brother's friends. I figured I could probably do the same, and I thought it'd be something important in my life that I could help a lot of people. And then moving on to college, I met so many good people at Westfield State who then decided that I would probably be a good coach. And they gave me an opportunity there for 8 years, at the same time getting my master's degree there, which helped. And then when I thought I was seasoned enough, I decided to try and be a head coach, and that's how I was here. So, it's every step throughout of people starting youth football and on. Not only does it teach you about sports and football, it just teaches you how to be a person and how to interact with people, and it just life lessons that are every day at practice, every day in games, just all interactions.
Right. You mentioned Coach Freeney had the ability to look ahead and to think about what the implications are. Let's talk about how sometimes coaches don't look ahead. You only look as far as your next game. Your next game is tomorrow, but you've got a huge game coming up on December 2nd at Gillette Stadium when the football team plays for the state championship. How have you prepared your players for tomorrow, knowing that their minds might be thinking 10 days ahead?
Sure. And as a coaching staff, what you do is you're always preparing your kids mentally for your next opponent. And what we've learned over the years is you're preparing every practice the same way you prepare for a game. So you want to have your kids focused. So you want to give them the schedule ahead of time. You want to let them know what you're going to work on. Even though as a coaching staff, we do it all season. So, for instance, we were playing Amherst in the playoff game, but during scout periods where we'd mix in some Longmeadow stuff, and we'd mix in whoever our next two opponents would be. So we would mix in some of their material. So even though you have the kids working on one thing, I don't want to say without them knowing it, but they've learned that you're always preparing for the next at the same time, even though your major focus is that game.
Sure. Let's talk about the game on the 2nd of December. How have you been working with your coaching staff and your players to think about that opportunity and again, keeping them mentally engaged? Because I can imagine it's going to be significant, very overwhelming for them to walk into that stadium. As you mentioned, the possibility of walking the same sideline as Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. What's the message? How are you getting them ready?
It's very exciting to think about it, but we're no longer we're playing Dennis Yarmouth. We're not talking about going to Gillette anymore. We're trying to focus on a football game. And one thing we did as a coaching staff is Coach Vitale had Tony Kuchar from Chicopee Comp Senior come over after practice yesterday and speak to the team. Now, they went to play in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And what he wanted to do is he offered to come talk to our team to let them know about kind of what the day is going to look like and the distractions and things to remind them they're there to play a championship game, an opportunity that they've earned. Don't waste it. Don't ruin it by paying attention to what he said is the noise around you. So he gave us logistics on what it's going to be like when we get dropped off, where we're going to warm up, how we're going to transition to the field, what halftime looks like, what the stadium looks like in terms of fans. So we're just trying to give our players every opportunity for success. So we're trying to pull in as many resources as possible because you're playing the champion out of Eastern Mass, which is, not going to be an easy task. So we're trying to be as perfect as possible, give our kids as much information as possible for success.
Great. In 2009, you brought home a Super Bowl championship when it was limited to Western Mass, and you defeated Longmeadow, if I remember correctly. How is this team different than the 2009 team?
The 2009 team was special. The 2009 team was a great team. A lot of those kids came out to support us on Saturday. It was great to see them. I guess the first thing they did was they helped turn the program. Even though we were getting better every year, they were the first group that won a championship here. The first time, there's many teams that made it to the Super Bowl before, but they were able to, we were the underdog for the entire season. And we made it no one gave Westside a chance against Longmeadow. And those kids really performed that day, and it was exciting. And it was something that the town rallied around. And, the football programs in town, I think it helped energize them. But the biggest thing was that's as far as you could go then. So as a coach, what I always said to those guys, we did it. We made it to the last possible game you can play in a season. That's all you can ask. Whatever happens in that game, you're playing the last game that there's only two people playing in. So it was exciting. It was just as exciting. But this year, after beating Longmeadow, now you have to refocus for a state semifinal. You have to prepare again. Then you're going to have your Thanksgiving Day game, and we were lucky enough to win that game. So now we're preparing again. So with the state playoff, it's a different feel. It's a different taste. But both are just as exciting. The first championship, as a coach, you're like, okay, I can do this. We're sending the right message to the kids and the players. And now this time around, it's a little different. There's just things that you would do differently that, 10 years later, 9 years later, you do differently.
Right. Let's shift gears for a minute because I don't want everyone at home to think of Chad Labonte as only as the head football coach. You're a seasoned educator, department chair of the health and physical education departments here at the high school. What do you see as the most challenging aspect of getting kids physically engaged during the day in the curriculum that you guys teach?
We had the opportunity, when you were principal here, to rewrite the curriculum. And I think one of the biggest challenges for our department is, and my department's great, we're constantly being reflective of what we're teaching and how we're teaching it. So we have the opportunity to offer electives to our students, and we like to have enough electives that interest all the kids, not just certain groups. So kids that are focused on fitness, there's something there for them. Kids that are focused on team games, there's something there for them. Kids that are focused on leisure activities, we have a backyard games elective. Kids that want to learn more about different cultures, we have an international games. In addition to our regular graduation requirement courses, which we work more towards lifelong activities, where the freshman, sophomore, it's more of a team activity. So we've really worked hard with the curriculum to design it so there's a little bit of something for all 1,300 kids in the school. And we're constantly being reflective, and we meet in our curriculum meetings. The staff is great. They all work hard. I think they're all in touch and in tune with the kids in our building. And I think that shows by the numbers we have in our electives and, the success the kids have. It's a nice place that the kids still love coming to PE, whether it's for graduation requirements or elective classes or our health classes. We offer reconnecting youth classes, child development. So there's a little bit out there for everyone in this building. And it's a friendly environment that kids can come, feel safe, learn, be around other people that want to learn the same things that they do.
Right. Athletics certainly give students an opportunity for some lifelong benefits. So what do you see as the greatest benefit of participating in a team sport?
Any team sport, I think, and I talk to the kids about this all the time, it's accountability. And when you talk about accountability, it's accountability to your teammates, accountability of being on time, accountability of learning material, all things that you're going to need to do as a parent, all things you're going to need to do when you enter the workforce. If you're habitually late for practice, I'll tell the kids, what if you were late for your job over and over? What's going to happen? Okay, you're on time for your job, but you don't understand the material that somebody at work's asking you to do. What do you think is going to happen? It's the same thing. It's little microcosms of life. I think any team sport, working with other people and being held accountable, I think the biggest message of any team sport.
Great. I love it. So, Chad, we're going to wrap up here. The question that I always ask at the end is who would you like to see featured in the spotlight here with me in a future segment?
I discuss it with my colleagues in my office. There's a few people that came up, actually. Amy Pasterzik in the Terrier Cafe. She does some great things in there. We thought that would be someone that, to get the inner workings of what she does in there with her students. Michael Beecher, who works with the SEI students, the work that he's doing with our students in that group. And another one, Dan Lancourt, who works adaptive physical education throughout the whole district. We thought that those are people that, we see it every day, what they do and the job they do and how awesome it is. I know you know, but I think it'd be great for the community to be able to see what they do too.
I think those are three great choices, and we're going to get them on the list and make that happen. The football team plays tomorrow at Agawam High School at 10 a.m. In our annual Thanksgiving rivalry game. It will be the first Thanksgiving Day game held at their brand new complex, and we look forward to that. And we also look forward to supporting the football team in the state championship game held at Gillette Stadium Saturday, December 2nd at 3:30 in the afternoon. Tickets for that event are $17 for adults and $14 for students. They include admission to all the games on that day. Thank you for joining us in this segment. I hope you have a fantastic holiday season.